All right, people, let's get into Earth 2.0 and the black hole, the space, the flat Earth, all these things. Let's put these things into a little bit of a different perspective so maybe we can understand where we're at and where we are and where we're going and what's going on in this world and how it's a controlled mechanism, how we can be afraid without being afraid and whatever else, all right? Because this is a really cool time, and there are so many knowledgeable outputs that we can plug ourselves into. And now that the alien situation is being talked about, the hybrid situation, breeding with humans, and time such as was not since the beginning, the H1N1, the COVID, Corona, dark sun, all these things coming in, the food, drink, the ultra processing. All right, so as we are seeing these changes, I've talked about us being at the bottom of a black hole in the past. All right. What I could be seeing or putting together here is like the spiral galaxy we live in. The black hole consumed the spiral galaxy long ago or whatever kind of thing. So as it consumes a galaxy, we start seeing these things and whatever coming into our world, and changes in the rocks hitting and meteors and whatever else. This be like the Satan or Lucifer being cast to the ground, and these things that we're told in that big holy book, you know? And that big holy book, that big hole in the ground, and whatever else we see, Grand Canyon, and these things on Earth that are here. And so let's as we could be at the bottom of a black hole and in some type of mirror projection in a way, and we have mirrors in our eye is a type of mirror, and it's a rounded glass like a firmament. The firmament is supposedly that way that we're taught, and then which is a mirror, and then the water on Earth, which the Earth supposedly is mainly water, that would be a mirror. So these three mirrors are all working together, kind of like that Tesseract that did a post on earlier. But as all these things are working together, this is where the black hole is consuming the light, and it's condensing in on itself. And as light condenses in on itself, it creates matter, and this is where the manifestation comes in and whatever else, right? So as it consumes these galaxies or whatever, it pushes out the old galaxy, right? So this is where it ate a spiral galaxy before, and now it ate another type of galaxy or whatever kind of thing. Or it ate the spiral galaxy, and that's where we're going into that spiral galaxy or kind of thing. Okay? So these little things. So as it eats a galaxy, it bursts out that old galaxy that it ate before, right? And then it goes into that new galaxy system, and that's where these planets and whatever systems or whatever. And sometimes when it eats a galaxy, there's no life in that galaxy, we're told. So this is where they're showing, and this reflection with the space or whatever, to where you go up a certain height and the stars and shit disappear and whatever. This can be working to where it's actually down below, and where either way, so things can be projecting up through the ground and the water. And this is actually where the moon, they're saying that the Earth projection is on the moon, and whatever else. So this is where it's being cast up. Everything is underneath, and that's where the underworld is coming up, where the black hole and whatever. But space is actually down, not up. Okay? So the space they teach and whatever can be real, but it's not real to where they're going and how they're doing things and whatever. And it can be real in a sense that we're at the bottom of a black hole, but we just get to experience space. And in order to, and as planets and whatever come in, and different galaxies would give different types of technology and take you from one place to another. And as these things come into Earth, and man's loaded down with this old old Earth and whatever. That's where you get like a new periodic table made and discovered, and new gems and whatever kind of thing that we go in and mine out, and whatever else is going on today. So this is where what we're living in is past light as we're going into the new light. And this is where the black hole is consuming itself. So as it consumes itself and consumes these new galaxies, it works in these new worlds as it feeds off of them and whatever, and expands and gets bigger and bigger. And we kind of see these things with the games and things were shown and whatever, how this destroyer of worlds comes in and it resets stuff, and then the world keeps going. Either way, this is even if it's not like happening physically, this is all in a spiritual sense as well. So that's where you would have your great tribulation and whatever. And also went to the car museum yesterday, and there are some changes with the cars between like 32 and 35. And you had the Great Depression in the 30s and all those things, right? We're in those time frames now as far as rebuilding America, the gold structure, the payment structure, all those things. The cars are being made flying and whatever else, right? So, and also we can take the old, like those old futuristic predictions, whatever, the cool cars back in the 80s and 90s at the car shows. This is where the people can take the young, rule the old in a way, where they come and take the old cars and those styles, and they make them in a futuristic fashion. And we kind of see this with some of these cars like the Challenger or whatever. But so with the depression and the physical depression and the people going in as far as the money and the spiritual one, and your church lying to you, and all these kinds of things stacking up. And the church is tied to your hospital, your gyms, your textbooks, or schools, your religious organizations, YMCAs, WCMs, whatever the fuck you're going to. Okay, so they're all attached to these things. The milk and dairy is the king of the aisle. Your king, different kings are being put into the corner. That homogenized nation, that King James putting into your right hand, that Sodom and Gomorrah, your nut sacks, and making that gay nation. All right, that gay nation, that Georgia AI, and those things is all tying for that Georgian. Oh man, the food change. And this all explains all these things, where these people kind of just looking backwards. They just landed. They brought their food with them. They have to transition from this food, because it's not keeping them alive, to the natural food. All right. So this is where we're going in. And we realize this alien race has crashed into the earth, and they're bringing this food to us. And we got to go back to the natural. All right. So the man shall with her away. And different layers as far as, and Noah and the 8 and Adam leaving the garden, and all those things are all stacking up as far as when worlds collide and going from an old to a new. And we see this over and over throughout history and throughout this storybook. So a mirror and all these things absorb the light. All right. And this is where the sun and moon, all these things can kind of be working in a different fashion, to where I've talked about where we are manifesting that sun, to where our energy is going out to that. But it's where the magnetism, where does the power come from? The white wire or the black wire, and the positive and negative, and that ties into your ground, and then your plus sign with the cross, and your Jesus and Satan and Lucifer and the light, and coming together, and all those types of things. Either way, folks, it's more than likely that you're at the bottom of a black hole, consuming galaxies and such, and we are actually manifesting that as we were born and stuff, whatever, right? We are manifesting our old system that we came from, right? Or we're manifesting the system that was just consumed. It's this kinds of thing going on. So, but as these things are consumed, that's where you get massive development, or where we can see the interstellar things coming in or whatever. Where you can have the beasts of the sea and the beasts of the earth actually physically rise, but these can be attached to UFOs, supposedly, where you might have either one huge one and release like 7 heads and then the horns after, or you might have where you have 7 come up out of the ocean and then 3 out of that, and then you can have 2 out of the, however these things will work with the earth. And either way, these things are being told to us in a flip-flop fashion, and there is some truth to these things that they are saying, but it's not how they're saying it. And I've broken these things down before in the past, how these space missions and the planets and all this stuff, it's all code speak for military stuff. They even tell you this with the mythology and whatever. That's like a foundational source. So now you got the Mars mission, the man trying to land on Mars, and all those things. But it's in overlays where you have the man trying to land on Mars, but you have Mars over here, and then the red planet coming over here, and then we know the red planet is actually filmed in the Americas or different areas of the world and whatever else. So we'll end it here, folks.